I am the contrarian, and this is my world.
Hi, I'm Arvind Vora and I'm the joint venture partner to Gionee in India. I guess we're in this market at a time the world order on mobile phones is shifting and we couldn't have had a situation as good as today.
The top 3 mobile phone brands in the world will become the bottom 3 mobile phone brands in a few years. No. I'm not saying it. The guest with me made this claim to me in a quick meeting we had a few days back, and that's why he's on the show today. Arvind, I'm going to give the floor to you totally because it's such a huge statement that you made that day. And for the audience, can you just say, yes, you made that statement?
Yeah, I made that
He made that statement. Now we will move on. Lots of huge changes in the mobile phone. The business model is changing. So the 3 areas that we thought were the pillars of how people bought and sold mobile phones is changing. 1, the business model of retail and distribution suddenly goes online. I know you have strong thoughts about it. We'll find out about that. The second, the brand may not be very important anymore. There was a time when people would swear by a Nokia or a Samsung or an Apple. That is breaking away. And the third one, of course, is this Chinese invasion that is coming in out here is changing the equation for most people. Now, I'm going to leave the floor to you and find out from you what happens next.
See, Rajiv, what's happened is it's happened gradually. It's not sudden.
Really? We see it as something that came out of the blue.
Yeah, I mean, that's because you saw it late.
Right, okay. That's our fault. We're always late on these things.
So if you see about a large percentage, almost about 65 to 70% of manufacturing happens in China. Right? So I think the Chinese guys have got the technology correct. They've got the manufacturing correct. And today, if you look at it, the way Chinese companies have come in India, cumulatively the amount of money that has been actually spent to build credibility has actually reached a situation wherein you're ready to accept a phone coming in from China. I think that's what's drastically changed in the last 18 months.
That's the brand part of it.
That's the capability part of it.
Or acceptability part.
I would
you
say
might accept a Chinese phone and not dismiss it as complete crap.
Well, let's not forget everybody, those are homegrown brands are actually made out of China. So if today an Indian brand can challenge the leader, it's actually because of China.
But isn't that the bigger problem now? Big brands like the one that is challenging Samsung, like Micromax and others, they were also buying from Chinese manufacturers who now want to become a brand of their own. So do you believe that Indian brand quality will now suffer?
Till the time you don't have control on your supply chain, you can't make a brand. So anybody who's just trading and believes that trading will get him that far, I would say is mistaken.
Brand acceptability is becoming better from even companies that are coming from China, and people that have been buying very premium phones today are now hankering after a Chinese brand and not thinking twice about it. That's a huge quantum tectonic shift, according to me.
Yeah, while you would call it a tectonic shift as far as your concern is, but I can tell you it's not been easy. I mean, I've been on the other side. You've seen it happen. We're the guys who actually delivered it.
Okay.
So it's not that the mindset changed all of a sudden. It's a lot of effort that has gone into it, and I would give it, major part of it to the product.
With companies like Xiaomi and OnePlus and others that are coming into the new business model, you came into India with a different business model for retail and distribution, but they've completely and totally flipped it 180 degrees. They don't believe in the retail and distribution model at all. They just go online and they come in very, very quick. They move much faster. Doesn't this destroy almost every other brand that has set so much of time, effort and money into retail and distribution?
See, I think if you look at the online business model, what you're talking about, and even if you look at it in China, I mean, that's the country which I would like to look at, is just about 20%. In India, we're at about 6-7%. So I'm looking at the 94, right? Now, how fast it changes needs to be seen.
You come from a country, I mean, your brand comes from a country, China, where this business model has already been very successful for about 3.5 to 4 years. Why did you not bring it into India first with a sub-brand? Why are you now playing reactionary games to other brands? You could have done this first.
See, as far as China is also concerned, we've really not felt the need to do something immediately. So we waited, cool,
so you're
let the market develop.
Let 20-25% of the market go away to online.
Not an issue.
Not an issue.
Not an issue.
So isn't that usually supposed to be a hands-up kind of a thing for a businessman to say, at the moment it's not an issue because you don't really have anything in your arsenal to take them on?
No, I think that's where the mistake is. The question is, at times you can be more well prepared and then you go and fish at the pie when it's of a reasonable size. See, we are very clear. When the market actually becomes reasonable, that's the time you go in, and then you should have the wherewithal to take the market at that point of time.
If you go online versus you go retail and distribution, the difference can be up to 37 to 40% in terms of the actual cost that is added onto the phone. Now, if I start feeling, and a million other people watching this show now start feeling, that I can get a phone for 11,000 rupees that is almost better than the 25,000 rupee phones that all other brands are selling. The psychology of the buyer will now expect you to erode your prices. He doesn't care if your retail, your distribution is online or offline. Doesn't this suddenly start looking a little dodgy?
No, I think as far as we are concerned, we are very, very clear there is an online space and there is an offline space.
But does the customer care? I mean, you may do this as a businessman, but if I know the ecosystem of the buyer a lot more in terms of the kind of things that we do. There's already a huge amount of need, ask and want for a brand that has come 17 months after you, and people are hankering after, they're willing to pay 2,000-3,000 rupee premiums. Now, that obviously at some level has pressure on your bottom line.
See, the point is, if you get 10,000 phones, you'll have 40,000 people asking for it.
But that will change. Let's not dismiss a brand because of some slightly shifty PR work that they are doing, that they release 10,000 phones and have a sold out board every 10 seconds or 2 seconds or whatever it is. Eventually, when they'll come in with their million phones, will you feel the heat?
See, very honestly speaking, at this point of time, I think the confidence is at about 10s, 20,000. Those don't bother me at this point of time. When it comes to millions, I'm sure we'll have a better strategy in place.
But again, let's play a what if game. Okay, sure. The what if game is that between the next 3 brands that are supposedly coming in, with OnePlus following and one more after that, if these 3 brands come in and between them they have a million phones, right, which is not really a very big deal, really, if they get their strategy right, will you then be forced, and will all brands be forced to reduce prices?
There is a business model and each has its own merit. When you're going online, you're surpassing the total value chain in between, if you believe it adds value. Mm-hmm. Today, if you're saying the whole distribution market of India and the 150,000 retailers who sell mobile phones and the guys of TMS and Spice, they don't add value, you're absolutely right. But if you say they add value, then the customer is ready to pay for it. On the contrary, you have the online model which goes directly to the customer, and he says, okay, because I don't have this cost, I pass it on to you. So there is very, very clear-cut value that each model has.
People do take a look at a phone at retail and go and buy online if the prices are better. Why will a customer care about value chain if at the end of the day, we're all selfish users?
See, I'll tell you something, and this is something which I've been using from day one, which is the ROPO strategy. Mm-hmm. People actually research online and come and buy offline. The reverse doesn't happen.
Okay, so I totally disagree with you on that one, that now people research online
and come and buy offline.
They come and touch offline and then they go and order again online, because who doesn't want 10% lesser for a phone that they are buying? So I would totally disagree with you that. So wherever that research has come, you need to fire those people for sure.
I don't need to fire those people for sure. You need to take a deeper look at what's happening in the marketplace.
Okay.
Tell me how many guys did you meet in the last few days? Tell me how many shops have closed down till date. Tell me how many brands have shown their backside to the market.
At the end of the day, I understand your point, but this is the cusp, the start, the tip of the iceberg. Let's not say the entire iceberg has revealed all its glory. So we are at the end of the day, obviously this is the time. I mean, you either take action right now or you don't. I mean, you either lie back or you're not going to be able to do anything at all.
No, as I told you, I am very clear, and I don't think any amount of cajoli is going to force me into saying that, my margins are under pressure, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I am extremely, extremely clear. The offline business model has huge amount of merit, and the online business has its own amount of merit. Today, if you look at after-sale service, today with all the guys that you've been all ranting about, 2.4 seconds and stuff, how many service centers? What happens to the customer if there's a service problem? Where does he go?
How difficult is it for them to be able to surmount that problem?
It take them a couple of years.
Couple of years?
Yeah.
Okay. History has shown us that any brand that becomes very big usually will lose out, not for any other reason. It's not because they're not innovative. It's not because their products completely suck. It's not because they suddenly aren't any more favorites in the market. It's because they're not nimble enough to move with the market.
No, I think, Rajiv,
look at the number of skeletons along the way, even in the mobile business. The biggest brands today have all gone down.
No, I think if you look at the mobile phone industry, it's extremely simple. This industry is a one product industry. If you have a great product, you succeed. You have a series of flops, you'll go out of the market.
The hardware and spec war is more or less over. Screens can't become any more clearer. Resolution cannot be any better. The human eye can't really see 4K or 2K के बीच में क्या फर्क है? You can't see it. Processors, after you've gone 8 core, who wants a 16 core? Who wants
a 8 core also?
Exactly. Who wants a 42 megapixel plus camera, right? So the three biggest pillars of selling have collapsed. The fourth one still remains, design and looks. That fourth pillar stands. What will replace these three pillars? How will you sell your phone now that it can't be on specs?
See, I think the spec war was overhyped. Okay. So, people had nothing to talk about, so you had specs to talk about. The way I look at it is, up to a particular price point or up to a particular requirement, all phones need to have a decent camera, a decent music player, reasonable screen, good battery life.
So then you'll have a baseline.
You have a baseline. Okay. Beyond that baseline, I think it'll move into two areas. One is style and second is file share.
Yes.
File share. Basically, you have the guys who just want to go clickety-click, and then you have the guys who want to put their phone on the table and say, this is the slimmest phone in the world.
But you do believe that that's also a future strategy that will work 6 months, 8 months, 1 year
It's already
from now?
worked for us.
So I'm saying it's working now. In fact, those are your two reasons why.
We are nimble and we'll change if required.
And on that note, thank you very much. I mean, I should have done this. I've done it once before for one show where I predicted a guest's answers. I should have predicted this one because I knew what you were going to say. Darwin, as always, a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Point is, Rajiv, if you don't love what you're doing, then you can't make the others love it.
Okay, yeah, and that's true, absolutely. You've got to love everything that you do, and which is exactly what I do out here also. I love the job I'm doing, and the reason is that I have guests like this on my show that can have a very clear tunnel vision, very focused on exactly what the next path is. Today we spoke about exactly how the mobile phone industry, the selling, as well as the way you will buy, will dramatically change. Will it really? Can the top three brands get eroded? Will they become the bottom three? Well, only one thing can tell us the answer, and that is time. And that's what I've run out of. We'll see you next week right here on the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I am the contrarian, and this is my world.